Girls listeners. We are on episode 11. This is our first international broadcast, and we are coming to you from Cabo San Lucas. So very excited that we can do this podcast from anywhere. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. So for this episode, we're actually, since we are on the go, I'm using my Britney Spears mic to travel. It's pretty cute. We're just kind of holding it. It's like one of those nude ones that she used in the 90s. Just to give you a little visual. Maybe the 2000s, I can't remember. But we have a lot to cover in this episode, and we're super excited. So with the 49ers playing the Rams, we don't actually have another NFL player on this week. We have a good friend, Nick Franz, a good family friend, who introduced us to the organization we're going to be talking to. So this week we are featuring a group called Irreverent Warriors. And we have on Nate McDonald. Nate is the Chief Operations Officer, and he is also the Vice President. So hearing his story, it's a great interview. And then our good buddy, Nick Franz, who is a diver in the Navy. And then obviously we have the fabulous GK on, and Jan and Claire make an appearance. So the whole fam's part of this one. Very excited. So with that, we're going to dive right into the quote corner. And kind of like what we did last time, we're going to be blending the two together just to see if we can be a little bit more efficient on our time with y'all. So if you like it this way or you like it split up, curious if you guys want to let us know. But let's get into it. So quote corner for this week is, "It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are," by E.E. Cummings. So it takes courage to grow up and become who you really are, by E.E. Cummings. And then we have, "We learn courageous action by going forward whenever fear urges us back," by David Seabury. So we learn courageous action by going forward whenever fear urges us backwards. Brittany Mike?
Brittany Mike. Thank you. So just rolling those in, because like Emma said, we're just going to tie those together. So the quotes are going to support the stage of the mindful minute that we're on. So this is stage 7, and again, we're kind of looping backwards of the 8 stages of mindfulness. So this week we're looking again at courageous action. So we talked last time about the 8 stages. So we'll let Emmy kind of, okay. So just roll with it. You want me to go, or are you going to read this paragraph?
You want me to? Okay. Sure. Our 2 quotes highlight the yin and the yang of this quote, the inner and the outer. First, they highlight the inner struggle we face to unshackle our minds and spirits from the limitations the world tries to place on us to keep you playing small, to not become all you can be, and keep you in line where their expectations instead of your dreams and your destiny.
All right. So
I don't have a printer.
Yeah, we don't have printers, so we're not quite as clear. But anyway, so the second part of this, the second quote talks about fear and about walking into, that's the courageous action part, right? That we all have fear in our lives, and that we feel it in different ways in which life challenges us. And the whole point of having courage is not to not be afraid, but to continue to act. And so it's moving forward in our lives particularly, and so that's what we're really focusing on. So the second part reflects the external struggle of living all of this out in the real world and the way fear can hold us back. We may know in our heart of hearts who we are intended to be. We may know what this looks like and what we should be doing, but yet fear can block us from stepping into this reality of rejecting those who try to hold us back and living boldly into this and fulfilling our dreams and our destiny. Fear can crush us and keep us bound into living a life that was never intended for us, but without the courage to tell others no and ourselves yes, all of it can slip by. Courageous action calls us to lose the fear, reach for our dreams, and stand up for what we believe in and who we are. So, again, just encouragement along the path. So every time you reach a road bump or some kind of block or obstacle that you feel is just like a little bit too much, but if you know your destiny lies beyond it, that's when this courageous action really steps in. So we're encouraging you to be courageous for yourself, and then as you learn to do that, then you can be courageous for others, because the world needs courageous actors. And so here's to you living a courageous week, and the kind of action tip of the week is finding places in your life in which maybe fear is still harboring, and intentionally attacking one of those and continuing to take those small steps forward even in the face of that fear. So here's living boldly and courageously for the week. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, puppy.
Yep.
And then let's go ahead and toss it on over. We'll get Nick and George on.
Enjoy the show. Thank you.
right, everybody, we are super excited and honored this week to have a close family friend on and current Navy diver, second class petty officer Nick Franz. Nick is the son of Tom and Karen Frantz, good friends of Bruce and Jan since their days at the U of I. Tom and Bruce played football together. Karen was in that fabulous fraternity. And Nick has some first-hand experience with our charity focus for this week with the Irreverent Warriors, and we'll share a bit about his journey into the Navy, his service, and the way Irreverent Warriors has helped him in his life. So, Nick, thank you. It's so great to see you, and welcome to Hidden Pearls Podcast.
Yeah, great seeing you too. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome, my friend. All right, so a little background on Nick. Nick is currently a diver for the U.S. Navy and has been in the Navy for the last 7 years, performing multiple jobs. He started as a lowly deck seaman, chipping rust and paint bolt holes. He made me say this. And he was a member of Security Reaction Force team on an aircraft carrier, then a ship's husbandry specialist conducting various underwater repairs and maintenance on Navy ships and submarines, stateside as well as overseas, and finally is in his current position as a safety diver and instructor for aviation water survival. He is married to his wife, Kate, and they have two beautiful daughters, Layla, who is 4, and Addison, who is 1 month. Brand new baby. 2 months? What did you say?
1 month, yeah.
Yeah. Brand new baby. He spent most of his time in the Navy living in Virginia, but moved to San Diego, California at the beginning of 2020. He has a degree in fire science technology and hopes to eventually get a degree in kinesiology and or nutritional science as it applies to athletes. Well, when you do, I think we have quite the niche for you to come in and work with, my man. He has been fortunate to be able to be an amateur athlete for most of his life, loves rugby ever since he started playing it, and he feels lucky to have the opportunities to play with different clubs across the country and the world. He is most grateful to his mom, Karen, love Karen, and sister, Sarah. Karen, who truly is responsible for making him the person he is today. He also loves his dad, Tom, and his sister, Sarah, so much. He personally has felt the benefit of the programming offered by Irreverent Warriors, and tonight we'll share his story on that and how they helped him. So, Nick, very excited. And I just want to throw this out there. So my first job out of college was working for Tom Frantz, for Nick's dad. And I did not know what I was going to do after college, and I knew how to build websites and I knew how to do social media. So I built a website and maybe played the family card and was like, Tom, hire me. It was actually a really great website though, so I'm proud of that. Yeah. But Tom Frantz and the Frantz family gave me my first job out of college. So forever grateful and loyal to the Frantz family.
Nice.
Yeah, Nick. So thank you. Where are you coming? Where are you meeting us at? Where are you?
So I'm in my garage right now with a newborn and a 4-year-old. It is the quietest place in the house. It's also I don't know if you can see back there. I got a little squat rack, pull-up bar, bench and stuff. So it's my little sanctuary. But yeah.
Yeah, you're looking just a tad yoked. What are you weighing nowadays?
Oh God. I just had surgery on my ankle. I had 2 torn ligaments. And
why'd you do that?
I don't feel.
Yeah, what'd you do?
It was pretty dumb. I was playing rugby, and I rolled my ankle up pretty good.
Did you have to get surgery?
What's that?
What was your surgery?
They just put an anchor in there. I don't really know. I haven't got to talk to my doctor yet, but I know they reattached those. Huh?
They put a tightrope in there.
Yeah, or something like an anchor is what he called it. And they just reattached those ligaments. And I guess there was a tendon that was a little ruptured in there too, so they fixed that up.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty messed up. So I haven't been working out a whole lot lately. It feels better. I still can't do whatever I want to do. I can't do like anything with lower body is limited to resistance bands or body weight right now.
Okay, but what are you weighing now?
But your shoulders look great.
Dude, probably like 240, I think.
240-ish, yeah, thick.
You're an NFL tight end. Huh?
Yeah, he really is. Because how tall are you?
Do you know anyone that's hiring? I'll take a
know
job.
A lot of people actually. And how tall are you? You're 6'4" plus right now.
Yeah, 6'3".
6'3". Okay, 240 something. We could beef that up. Yeah, get rolling. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool, man.
All right. Well, let's throw it back to the Iowa days for just a second. So,
Sure.
Nick, you went to Linn-Mar High School. Any favorite Linmar stories? Like, do you miss Iowa? Like, as you're sitting in San Diego, California, how much do you miss the dry, gray winters of Iowa?
I actually do. So Virginia was pretty easy.
I knew
you were gonna say that.
I knew you were gonna say
that.
Yeah.
Like Virginia was a pretty easy transition because they have all the seasons here or over there. But here it's like it's not 75 and sunny like all the time like everyone says, but it gets a little bit colder and pretty warm in the summers, but there's not a winter, and I always kind of like the cold. But yeah, I definitely miss it, but I still enjoy my time out here.
GK, what was that? You look like you miss Iowa winters too? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'll never move back to Iowa my entire life. No,
clear on that.
I'm okay with like 1 week here, and then after that, it'll be like 1 week in every 10 years, and I'll be fine.
No hate on Iowa. No hate on Iowa whatsoever, because that's where we're all from. We love Iowa. We still have a lot of family there.
I hate winter. I don't like it when my bones awful.
One more time, George.
I'm not a fan of when my bones are actually cold. Like, and it's negative 30 degrees with the wind chill and you're riding your moped to class. I'm okay without it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a big time fair. Yeah. Okay, so Bruce, while we have you here, I think we should talk a little bit about Mr. Tom Frantz. So y'all were football players on the same team?
Yeah, well, the Frantzes, with all the brothers, right? So you got plenty of uncles, so the whole crew. Mm-hmm. And then Big Daddy, right, back in the day.
Big Daddy.
Right? Grandpa, yeah, so all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So he's passed on now, but we remember him warmly. Yeah, so TJ kind of owned Iowa City back in the day. That's what we called Nick's dad, Thomas. So we just wanted to give a shout out to Tom and his strong welcome to those joining into the Iowa City community. So he went to City High in Iowa City, and then his years there was a whole bunch of City High boys who either got scholarships and or walked on at the University of Iowa. So there's always a steady stream back then of these City High guys, the little Hawks back in the day. And so Tom came on, and his brothers also played tight end at the University of Iowa. So long history of tight ends in that family. And Thomas was there, and actually had finally gotten to his fifth year and was going to be the starting tight end, and had a knee injury. So he kind of got cut short there. So we felt bad about that, but Tom was welcome, and always got me a good job during the summers. We did some house painting and the like, and a few other things that probably won't go on the podcast, but it was all good. And so anyway, strong love and shout out to the family there, because and then your mom, Joan, unbelievable.
Grandma.
Cooking, taking care of us and all that kind of stuff. So, but
and Karen.
And Karen, so Tom's wife.
Diggity.
What was it?
Back it up.
Was she?
What was Kappa?
Kappa.
Yeah.
So,
Kappa, baby.
Yeah. So we, we'll let the sorority stuff go. But anyway, so shout out, your folks were just unbelievable to us, and they're good friends of our family. We've known them forever, and we still kind of remember the day you popped out and kind of blessed them and all that kind of stuff. So it was a wonderful time, and they were super happy with you. Probably some of the best, longest stories, which we won't tell tonight, but the Karen and Frantz wedding in Rockford, Illinois. So that would be another podcast for another day. We'd have to get some players on to go through that, because that one is, I don't want to call it.
Maybe that's an off-season podcast.
That is definitely an off-season podcast. We probably have to get some releases.
There aren't many people who we have, like, we talk to their son or daughter, offspring, if you will. Because obviously Hidden Pearls podcast is like a very tight-knit group between the Kittle family. So to have somebody who we have like generations of people, that would be a really fun episode. But tonight's not about them. Tonight's about you. So Nick, super pumped. So let's talk about you transitioning into the Navy, because you're on year 7, which is wild. So why did you choose to be in the Navy?
It kind of just felt right at the time. I didn't really know what to do moving forward. Like I didn't get my degree right away. I finished most of my classes, and I actually just recently got my degree, and my mom wasn't happy with me for a while about it.
You don't have to tell people that. There are others potentially in the same room who took a long time to graduate from undergraduate. And once you have your degree, you don't have to give that whole story every time. It's okay.
You got it.
Yeah, I have it now. That's all that matters.
Yes.
But Yeah, I actually signed on with the Iowa DNR to be a wildland firefighter, and that's kind of what I wanted to pursue. But that job was like, it was all on call, so I'd have like all my fire gear ready to go, and they would just give you a call and be like, "Hey, we're gonna send you out to like California or Georgia or wherever it is, wherever the wildland fires are. So like, be ready to go." And I got a couple calls saying, like, "Hey, get your shit ready. You're going to be going here soon." And they just never like followed through with it. So after a couple summers of doing that, I'm like, well, I should probably do something, because I was working at Menards, driving forklifts around, not doing, anything too great. So I was like, yeah, might as well join the Navy.
Dude, that sounds like a very painful adrenaline rush every time. Like you'd get really hyped up to do something and then nothing would happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty disappointing, because it was something I was really, really enjoyed in school anyways.
Then why Navy though? Like why Navy over any other branch in the military?
So what first got me to look into the Navy was my instructor in college, the fire instructor that we had. He'd always talk up Navy firefighters a lot, because like the guys that are out there fighting fires on ships, I mean, that's not what they're doing all the time, but if a fire were to happen on a ship, like they have to put that thing out. They have to be so well trained and know what they're doing to put it out. They can't just maintain and control it, because, if they're like, I don't know if you saw what happened with the fire in San Diego on one of those ships, like I think about a month ago or so, but they pretty much had to sink the whole thing, or maybe not sink it, but it's not salvageable. But yeah, they just have to be so well trained that they can put those fires out no matter what.
Have you ever done a job like that?
No. Oh, I've done training for it, like shipboard firefighting training, but I haven't got to do anything in real life for it.
Dude, that thing was Navy. I just looked it up. That was a huge fire on that boat. Yeah,
it was huge. Like I was in I don't know how familiar you are with San Diego area, but I was in Fiesta Island. It's a little lake, and it's a good distance from the naval base, and I could see all the black smoke popping up from the fire. It was insane.
Yeah, wow. There's been a couple there recently. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because I'm assuming that if there's a fire on a boat, that there's a lot more that can go wrong a lot faster.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
There's only so many things that can catch fire. So yeah, you got.
If it gets hot enough, there's tons of like ammo on board, and missiles and whatever else they have on there.
Missiles. Oops, there's a fire next to the missile.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, so the Navy drew you because you got a little pub from your instructor in college.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Kind of championing the Navy stuff. So then you go there, but you ended up in scuba, and it doesn't have anything to do with putting out fires. So tell us, so you joined, and then when does all that happen, and how was boot camp, and then when did you end up going underwater instead of fighting fires?
So I obviously like kind of veered away once I started veered away from firefighting once I started looking into the Navy. I was just looking at all the cool jobs they had, and EOD was the one I ended up settling on when I went into when I signed up for boot camp. Excuse me.
And what is EOD, Nick? Tell the fans.
Oh yeah, yes. EOD is explosive ordnance disposal.
And so you just settled on it. You just decided to settle.
I'm gonna take bombs and.
I think I'm gonna go underwater and dismantle bombs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's either that or like the bowling alley or what? Like, how does that work? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, I knew I wanted to do something along the lines of special warfare. Like, obviously, Navy SEALs is the big name in the Navy, like for spec ops, but it was actually super competitive to get into at the time when I was joining. So I kind of ended up going a different direction. And EOD's what we have like a mentor that's been in the Navy, and it's kind of like what they call a twilight tour. He's still in the Navy, but he's on a recruiting duty. So he comes to like a different recruiting station, and he was stationed like out in somewhere in the Midwest, obviously, but he just kind of helps guide all these young guys or girls really that want to pursue special warfare and kind of try to lead them on the right direction based on their interests.
So where have you traveled since enlisting?
So I've been to just outside the States. I've been to Bahrain, which is a small island in the Persian Gulf next to Saudi Arabia. I spent a good amount of time out there. I've been to Spain, Rota, Spain, which is southern, kind of by Gibraltar. Been to Dubai, been to Suda Bay in Greece. I think that's it for overseas.
Wow.
Favorite spot?
I don't know. It's hard to pick. Like, I loved Rota Spain, because I spent so much time there, and I actually got to be pretty good friends with the rugby club out there. So I love going there, like to go there and play rugby and hang out with them. That was always a good time. Greece was absolutely beautiful. I loved diving there because I could see forever underwater. That was amazing. Probably between those two.
Nick, I've only been to Cabo and Toronto.
Those are good spots too.
Yeah, I love Cabo. Toronto was really cool too.
Big Cabo guy.
Big Cabo.
I went to Toronto in February, and it was snow on the ground, but it was like 45 degrees outside, and it was beautiful. So I was
Really?
Well, but yeah, I
really want to go to Toronto.
It's a cool place.
Yeah.
How long do you think you're going to be in San Diego for? Like, do you know that at all?
Yeah, I'll be here at least for the next 3 years.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so recently you sent a very kind little mail package to the fam, to George, but we opened it, we received it, so it kind of felt like it was for me. But do you want to talk a little bit about the medals you sent, where you got them, and what they were?
Yeah, so it's called, they just call them a coin. And kind of the tradition, what a lot of people do is they'll keep one in their wallet. And so a lot of the guys that go out drinking or whatever, if one of them pulls it out and puts it on the table, everyone else has to do it too. And the last one, or if you don't have one, has to buy a round of shots or beer or whatever.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of the tradition, but I got that one specifically in Rota, Spain, from the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Mobile Unit out there.
Thunder Snatchers. If you guys didn't see the coin, definitely go and look. It's on our Instagram. It's very cool.
Well, Nick, I guess I want to get back to you got into the EOD stuff, and I know you were deployed at least once, right, within kind of what they call the arena, or you help us with that terminology. But so at least my understanding is that you're going underwater looking for explosive device, either getting attached to your ships and or just in the water. Can you tell us what are you comfortable with as far as that kind of service, and like how did that go, and what was that whole deal like?
Well, so I guess I should probably back up. I'm not an explosive ordnance disposal technician. I'm Navy diver. So what happened was I went through boot camp with that EOD technician in my contract, and I didn't end up making, like, it's a tough pipeline both physically and mentally once you start getting into the actual like explosive ordnance disposal school. I didn't end up making it through that. I was kind of reading some of the questions you had, and it kind of got in, reminded me of just that mental preparation that I didn't really do. And I think I could kind of chalk that up to why I didn't make it through. I was hurt all the time. I got rolled back into multiple classes, which means like you fail a certain portion or you get hurt, they take you and they put you kind of in limbo, and then you join the next class that's coming up. So that happened to me a few times. I ended up failing in evolution, which also got me rolled back, and I ended up just not making it through. And that's when I went to an aircraft carrier as what they call an undesignated seaman, which is the lowest of the low in the Navy. Like, you can just get thrown pretty much anywhere and do any kind of job. You can be like sitting by the trash compressor all day, or just chipping paint, or doing whatever they want you to do. And then I got picked to be on a security reaction force team, which was actually kind of cool. The training was cool, but the job was very, it wasn't as fun. It was a lot of watch standing. So you're just sitting there like with your Kevlar and your guns and stuff, and you're just waiting for, anything to happen, which it never does. But It was all right, but I ended up, leaving the aircraft carrier, going back to dive school. But this time, instead of for EOD, I went to go be a Navy diver, and I made it through at that portion.
What made you fall in love with diving? So, and we're coming off of this because we're in Mexico right now, and Bruce and I love diving. And I have to say, there are certain pieces of it that I absolutely love, and there are certain pieces of it that I do not love. And I'm curious, as somebody who has dedicated their life to being a diver, what is it that first made you fall in love with it, and what makes you want to keep going into it? And also your favorite dive site.
My favorite dive site?
Mm-hmm.
So that I've been to, I'll start with that. What I've been, sites that I've been to, Suda Bay, Greece, it tops all of them just because of the visibility. Like normally when we're working, the visibility is a couple feet, and it just kind of sucks. But we got there in Suda Bay, and I look over the end of the pier, and I can just see the bottom all the way from the top, and it was amazing. But yeah, it's probably my favorite spot to dive, or that I have dove. Sorry, what was the other part?
Well, I'll ask the other part. But so speaking of visibility, so today we were diving, and this was one of my favorite dives because of the visibility. And just like we went out, so we were looking for rays. And so our dive instructor was like, we're just going to go out and we're just going to hover and kind of float. And there's like a big overhang kind of cliff that you go off of. And Bruce is in the background. He's like, no, I love cliffs. Like, I love going out into the abyss. Like, I love going out into the blue. So obviously we go out and check it out. And so we go out there, and it was that kind of feeling where like I just felt like I could see everything in a way that I never have before, because, being from Iowa, it takes a lot of effort to get to somewhere where you can actually dive in a clear place. Like we've dived in lakes in Iowa before, and that's some
oh man,
that's some muddy, terrifying shit.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way to put it. Like there's like 2 inches of visibility, you're bumping into everything. But the visibility part is like.
Emma, did you just say that diving in a lake and was terrifying with just mud, and like the biggest thing in there is maybe a catfish while you're in the ocean over a cliff, and a giant
100%. Not being able to see, I personally think not being able to see something is significant. Okay, Nick, and
even though
back
there's
me
nothing
up
in the water.
as a professional, Nick, back me up. Not being able to see is scarier than being able to see.
I know, but you know what you're getting in an Iowa lake.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, that big snapping turtle. Hey, though, but Nick, this was pretty cool. It went down to about 70 feet, and then it crossed off, and then it dropped about 2,000 feet. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, so we went out because they've had a bunch of schools of manta rays coming by, and so we shot out there to just, like Emma said, hover a little bit and see if we could catch some. But they had moved around to the other side of the little rock formation we were around, so we kind of missed them. But it was
okay. But what's scarier? What's scarier, being able to see everything or being able to see nothing?
I like being able to see, especially because, like, from where I'm used to diving, there's been multiple times where I'll feel something like go brush up against my fin.
Yes.
I know that it's definitely nothing that could, hurt me, but I'm just like, oh shit, what was that? And
then your mind starts going. And then your mind starts going. And it's the mental part that's so crazy. Okay, so total segue. We're just going to go off of this. All right, so I was talking to somebody, and they were saying there are either 3 different types of like extraterrestrial interaction that we're going to have. And maybe extraterrestrial isn't that bad. But I was thinking about this really hard while we were under the water today. I'm stealing the mic. Back off, BK. Okay, so there's either going to be underwater, so like mermaid type shit, like something's going to come out of the abyss, which makes, I think, the most sense. There's either going to be something from space, or the earth is going to crack open and something is going to crawl up and out of it.
Okay, wait. What's the context of this?
I'm getting there. Chill out. Okay, so my point is, of those 3 scenarios, while I was underwater today, we're in a kind of high traffic situation where there's like a lot of boats. It's Cabo, like there's a bunch of touristy things. Yeah. So the boats that go over, it's so loud and it like shakes you while you're underwater. And the entire time I was like, damn, dude, I was like, this has got to be along the lines of what it sounds like for the earth to crack open and some Godzilla looking shit to crawl up and out. But I just keep thinking, once again, as a diver, and Bruce, I meant to have this conversation pre-recording, but now we're on the recording. So do you think we're most likely, oh no, this is Dane. Do you think we're most likely to have contact with some different species. Exactly, George. That, George, you say something so it switches over to you.
Ask the question. What are we doing?
Exactly. Do you think it's about to be a mermaid situation, a Godzilla situation, like erupting out of the earth, or aliens? And do you ever think about this when you're diving?
Wait, again, where's the context? Why did you ask this question?
I just told you I was diving under the water today, and I had the conversation recently with someone, and that's why I brought it up.
Okay,
I'll Nick answer. Nick, what are those three
to.
potential? And if zero's the answer, go ahead. Okay.
How do you not think about that when you're underwater? Do you not think about that?
I do not think about that. The most I think about is I do open water swimming, and every time I do in the ocean, I always get something bites me or brushes up, and you can't see it because then it's gone. Yeah. So that freaks me out a little bit. But scuba diving, I don't.
None of you guys think anything extra is out there?
I don't.
Well, yeah.
Whatever, but.
What are we on, a Joe Rogan podcast? What's going on here?
Oh, sorry, brother. Sorry, we have boundaries about what we're going to talk about with our friends.
It's funny.
Okay.
I would
tell me about being a Navy diver. How's that different than the EOD stuff? I guess you're not specialized in, right, the bomb removal stuff. Then what are the classic assignments of the Navy diver?
Right. So, yeah, we don't specialize. We go through like a short explosive course, but yeah, we don't specialize in that stuff. But to answer Emma's question, definitely space aliens.
Thank you. I was like, how are we just going to miss this? All right, what did you say?
I think
space aliens.
I'm space too.
Yeah.
But after being underwater, Nick, thank you. I was like,
you are a stud. You are a stud, man.
No, I wasn't just going to move on from that. That's a good question.
Thank you.
That's what you're most scared of?
No. We're not most scared
of. Oh, not
what
I'm scared of. That's just what I think is most likely.
What do you think is most likely? And even being underwater, that's what I was thinking today. I was like, dude, I still think it's going to be aliens.
What was that movie with the giant robots that fight the stuff that came out of the underneath
Pacific Rim?
Yeah, Pacific Rim. Do you guys see that?
I was going to say,
Nick.
I think all those are likely except for the crawl out of the middle of the earth. Like if the earth just separates, and I don't think monsters are going to climb out of it. I think it's just going to be like lava and we're all going to die. But the underwater and the outer space stuff's definitely a real thing.
But which one, George? Which one? What do you think's more prominent?
And
yes.
How do you know
but which one do you think? I think it's going to be space. Like even being underwater, I'm like, we have fucked up the ocean bad enough to where if something really significant was down there, I feel like they would have come up and been like, y'all, stop it.
Right? Wait, you're talking about the ocean? We haven't explored, like 90% of the ocean?
Yeah, but we have like done enough harm. Like we as humans have done enough harm to the ocean where I feel like if there was something going on, that something would have come out and been like, yo, stop it.
Like Aquaman where they throw all the stuff up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aquaman or like giant sea serpents.
Okay, so for the listeners of the podcast, throw in some more conspiracy questions. We would love to talk about it on the show. We'll get the guests involved. And I am actually a fan of the question. I just wanted more context behind it because you just.
Do we have any? Okay, Nick. Do you? Oh wait, I think this is on your tattoo. Don't you have like a Kraken tattoo?
Yeah, it's like more of an octopus, I suppose, but.
That's my transition point. Ba-dam-ba-dam.
Okay. Nick, I just want to wrap up. You said something about the mental prep stuff. So we always talk about that in with George and some of the players that get on about just stuff they do about visualization, affirmation, all that. You said you felt like your mental prep game maybe kind of, didn't serve you as well as it could have. What have you learned about mental prep since those days, and how does it still impact your life?
Well, I know I definitely fell short on that aspect the first time through when I was in the EOD pipeline. And that's something I really focused on the second time around going through the Navy dive school. Well, that and the physical aspect, I made sure I was doing like some sort of stretching or yoga every night before I went to bed. And
Attaboy.
Yeah, I always took time. It was a little bit more difficult because right before I went to dive school the second time, Layla, my oldest daughter, was born. So I was pretty lucky. I got to go home. I was there for the birth, and then I was straight off to dive school. So I was trying to balance all the schoolwork that comes along with it, and still FaceTiming Kate and Layla, and then also just kind of mentally preparing myself for the massive beatdown that we were going to experience the next morning. But it made a huge difference.
Is Navy diver school? Is it Navy SEAL-esque? Of all the stories we hear about that kind of stuff, is it in that nature, or is it just what is it?
To a degree, it's like buds. What seals go through is just a whole different animal. Like I have a huge amount of respect from anyone that attempts to go through that. If they make it through or not, it's insane. I mean, I've never been through it personally, but I've heard a lot of stories from people that have been there, and it's absolutely nuts. But yeah, it's Navy dive schools. It's can relate to it somewhat because you go there like super early in the morning, and they they take that buds mentality where you're just getting beat down. They're making you go out in the cold water or like do base swims and stuff, or you're gonna be getting your ass beat in the pool or on land doing PT. And they'll do that for like a few hours in the morning, and then you're just in the classroom for the rest of the day, learning about diving, learning about like dive physics and whatnot. And then a lot of the times they'll beat you in the afternoon too. But
a lot of beating going on.
Yeah, lots of beating.
All right. Well, we're very proud of you, just so you know that, right? And grateful for your service and grateful for all that. So let's, how about, let's do a little fashion preview. So I don't know.
And into the fashion segment of the podcast. Okay, so GK, since you're our hosty McHost, we're actually going to start with Nick. So Hidden Pros podcast fans, we love our fashion, but since Nick is more of a rugby player than football, do you think that you could give us a little fashion preview either on anything diving wise or rugby wise or anything wise?
Yeah, I'd have to run and go get it, so I can, if you want to start with George, I can go.
All right, we'll start with George for sure.
Okay, cool.
Listeners. Hey, listeners, I'm George Kittle, your co-host of the Hidden Pros podcast, recurring guest, somewhere in between. Today, for the Fashion Week, these are a pair of shoes that just came out. I just got them. They came out November 13th. They're 2 colorways. They're Nikes. These are the Sacai Vapor Waffles, and they're the Sails is what they're called.
The Vapor Waffles?
So waffle bottoms. And then there's the Sacai's, because it's like 2 shoes put together. See the split right there?
Oh.
You've also got the double colored laces because there's 2 sets of laces in there.
I love the double lace look.
I do too. I think it's very, very sexy.
A word for double.
Yeah, is Sacai a word for double?
So I really like these shoes. I don't know what the words stand for, but I'm a huge fan of these. I actually have I have like 6 pairs of Sacai's, from blazers to just the sneakers like this. So I'm a big fan of the double shoe, double laces. I think it's a cool look. It's very different. And I like different because I like my feet to be loud. So
can we talk about your sunglasses right now, right, too?
For my sunglasses, these are Stone Cold Steve Austin sunglasses.
I was wondering if that's what they were.
These are from my guy Wrestling for Sale on Instagram. Any of my wrestling gear that you guys see, I get it from him. We should definitely throw him a tag. He's actually having a massive sale this weekend, so get on that. But all my stuff I usually get from him. He just sends it to me. It's awesome because I have like t-shirts from like WWE t-shirts, WWF t-shirts. I got Stone Cold shirts from 98, 1999. Like he has a better vintage, and I'm big. I think that stuff is cool. But yeah, he just got me these shades, which I'm a huge fan of. Look at those.
They're very cool.
Like those a lot.
I know. So I can't wait to play again so I can wear these to a game.
Not many guys, I really have to say, not many guys can pull off the circle sunglasses. So I'm very excited that you have embraced this so wholeheartedly.
What does that mean, that I can't pull them off, or I just do it anyway?
No, you can. You can. Like, not many people can, and it's a very bold fashion statement to wear circle sunglasses.
Well,
and you rock them.
Thank you. Yeah, if anyone else out there has really cool circle shades, I'm a huge fan of them, if you couldn't tell.
Oh, there we go.
I like them a lot.
Hey. All right, Nick, what you got?
All right, man.
All right, so I grabbed a rugby kit that I have. This is another veteran nonprofit that they have a rugby team that I played for. They're called the Wandering Warriors, and they have these nice little shorts.
Oh, they're short shorts.
Wait. Hold on. Can we hold those out again? Is this this symbol on the thigh?
Yep. Yeah, sure is.
George, you got your look, man, didn't you?
Got you to look.
Yeah.
I did.
And then what's that? Is there a jersey that we wear?
That's badass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What?
Irreverent Warriors. Cool, man.
Yeah.
Are you always number 17? Do you have a particular with that number?
No, that was just kind of I showed up to a tournament, and that was one of the jerseys that they had available to buy, so I just got it.
All right.
I love that.
But they
What position do you play in rugby?
I play anything from – so in rugby they have position by numbers, so you don't, like, pick a number. You just like if you're playing a certain position, you get a certain number. So I play one – not one. 1 and 3 are like the bigger guys, what they call the front row. 1, 2, and 3. I play 4 through 8, which is a flanker, lock, or the 8-man.
Okay.
I don't know anything about rugby, so you
Nothing except for didn't you like get a tooth in your head one time? I feel like your mom told me.
A tooth in my head?
Like, didn't you get rocked pretty hard one time, or did she just tell me terror stories?
I could have. I had one time I got elbowed in the jaw so hard that I couldn't. So we go to like the social afterwards with beer and food and stuff after the game with the opposing team, and I couldn't eat because my jaw was like locked in place because I got hit so hard, and I never got that checked out, but I think it feels good now. So.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Great.
I thought you were going to tell a story where you got the tooth in your head at the beer party after the game instead of during the game. So that's what I figured was going on.
But also, how fabulous! I wish that in NFL that was like culturally appropriate to where you went and had beer and drinks and food with the NFL team afterwards. That would be fabulous.
Yeah, I would enjoy that. The only thing is, I mean, the travel stuff. But if you're playing like a team that's close to you, I would love to go out for some brewskis.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say that the only rugby I've got is when we were at West High in Iowa City, our head coach then for conditioning twice a week, we did 20 minutes of rugby, which is pretty good. So
really?
like we'd be halfway through practice, everybody stripped down, and then he'd throw the rugby ball out, and it'd be like whatever it is, 9-on-9 or what is it?
Yeah,
11,
you also
11?
there was an offensive lineman at Iowa City High. Was it Jared Ebert?
Yeah, West High.
Yeah, West High, and you'd give him a rugby ball, and he would literally murder anyone that would run in front of him because he was
really good.
6 foot athlete.
Yeah.
He went on to Oregon though.
Yeah,
he did.
He did JUCO and then played D-line at Oregon. Yeah.
Picture a defensive end playing rugby. Jeez Louise.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was good.
All right, honeys. Let's toss it over to our Irreverent Warriors. So the charity focus for the week is Irreverent Warriors, and the mission of the organization is to bring veterans together using humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide. So the vision of Irreverent Warriors is to be the force that unites the veteran community and drives a healthy culture within its members. Through creative engagements, events, and a strong veteran-based support network, we will be known as the catalyst for improving the veteran outlook. We will be the most effective veteran community in the United States. So that's the mission statement. And y'all are about to hear from Nate McDonald, who does all the things for the organization, and it's a really great interview. But Nick, why don't you give us tell us about how you learned about Irreverent Warriors, and then what your experience is with the organization.
Yeah, so the first time I went to one of their silky hikes, I had no idea what it was all about. Let's explain
a silky hike too. Just tell them what it is.
So it's just wild. It's a bunch of veterans that get together, and everyone's wearing just kind of whatever they want, like all kinds of crazy costumes. You know, they're decked out in like Marine, Navy, Air Force, Army, even Coast Guard gear. You know, they're like holding these big flags, you know, with like Irreverent Warrior flags or a flag of their branch of service. And they all get together and they meet at like a bar at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And they all get registered and everything, and they hang out, get to know some people, and then they take off. It's usually like in Virginia Beach, we did it along the boardwalk, so it's in public. It's not like a hike out on a mountain or anything. But you get to like go kind of talk to a bunch of different veterans that you may have never met before, and kind of be seen publicly at the same time. Get to intermingle with the public, and there's different stops along the way. just for food, water, and other beverages as well. But yeah, it's an absolute great time. It's very inclusive, and like everybody's there is so welcoming of newcomers, and it's what really made me want to get a little bit more involved with it, is because when I first went to the Silky hike, I didn't know anybody. I was actually supposed to go with a bunch of my rugby friends who are also military members, and they ended up scheduling a rugby game that day, like in Richmond, and I was living in Norfolk at the time. But my ankle was pretty messed up, so I couldn't play. So I just went to the Silky hike by myself, and it was a little intimidating at first because it was 7 a.m. I walk up to this bar, and there's just all these people a lot of them are just wearing Silkies. So they're bare chest and everything, and they're showing their thighs and drinking and stuff. And I was like, what am I getting myself into? And I walk in, and everyone was just super cool. And, people came up to me and started talking to me, like asking, hey, is this your first one? And I got to know a few people there, and I was just kind of hooked ever since.
Well, all right. So we had the great fortune of meeting with Nate. Actually, we sort of recorded that one that's coming up next on this show. So they talked a little bit about their primary philosophy in all of this is that a lot of the mental health issues that guys are going through, whether they're deployed or not, they don't really make a distinction in that, but there's a lot of pressure that comes with it. Comes through really what they think is the number one enemy is isolation. And a lot of it has to do with the culture within not just the military, but otherwise, but the culture of, having to be a tough guy, not showing your pain, not, being hurt. And then certainly when you're with a team, whether you're deployed or not, if you indicate that you have help, they pull you out of the arena, then your team's down and they don't have the support. And then also you're viewed as kind of being weaker for asking for help and all that kind of stuff. So their whole thing is trying to get past that stigma and get guys to start asking for help. And the number one thing they want to do is through this kind of humor. And that's why they're called the Irreverent Warriors, at least as I understand it, is try not to take the thing so seriously, get people together that people can hang out with other folks who've been through some of that, build relationships in a way, and through that camaraderie, not feel that isolation that can seep in. And so then when the mental health issues, whether it's depression or, whatever else is going on, before somebody takes it to another step because they feel so blocked about asking for help, they can make some differences. So when you and I talked about this show earlier and we were kind of doing the pre-planning, you said Irreverent Warriors kind of came into your life at a time when things were a bit dark. And I don't want to read too much into that, but I just mean, how did the camaraderie and the relationships you've built through Irreverent Warriors, how's that impacted your life and how's that helped?
Well, it's been great. So it did come at a time in my life where I was pretty down the dumps. It was kind of a dark point in my life, but it was just a lot of different things. And this is the way it happens for a lot of people. It's not just one bad thing that happens to them. It's a lot of different things in their life coming together, just, giving them a bunch of shit. And it's awful for them. And that's kind of what is happening with me. I was pretty hurt. So that surgery that I just had the injury happened over a year and a half ago. And I was out of rugby. I couldn't play. I couldn't practice. I couldn't get an MRI at all to figure out what was wrong with me and to get it fixed. So rugby which has also been a huge support system for me. It was my rugby brothers and sisters. I couldn't participate in that at all. There were some things going on with work that I just wasn't happy with. I don't want to get too much into that, but it really just kind of came along at the right time because with everything that was going on, like I said, I walked up there and everyone just kind of welcomed me in. So everybody that's there that's been to a few Silky hikes kind of knows that there's people that are going to be new there and that might be going through a lot of stuff in life. So try to create this atmosphere where you can go there and you can just meet new people, have a good time. You can find people that can be your new support system if you lost one, like I did with rugby. It's just amazing the way that the Irreverent Warriors has created that for so many different veterans across the country, and they've just been growing and growing since I think 2015 they were founded. They're huge now. When I talked to Cindy, the CEO, after I was at the Virginia Beach hike, she was like, we can't find people to help us out quick enough because it's just grown so quickly because it's done such good things for people.
Well, that's what, when we, talking to Nate today, so at least in the website talks about having had contact with and have over 6 million registered, either currently active or discharged veterans within the group. So that's a lot of folks to do outreach with. So I guess, so if we just to not beat around the bush with folks. So if somebody's listening to this, right, Irreverent Warriors, they had a website, they have contact info, all the notes will be in the show for this. Number one thing that they're really trying to do is assist with mental health and particularly reduce the level of suicide. I mean, the percentages between individuals in the military lost in combat or in active duty and the suicide numbers, I mean, they're not that different. And it's a shocking statistic. And so just really wanted to put out there for folks that, you know, if you're in struggle and or the number one thing other people can do if that's not you in your situation, make sure that you are letting people that you know who might be in that situation to try to connect them and hook them up with some people, because asking for help is okay, and we want to make that as safe as possible. So just want to make sure that that message is getting out there on behalf of Irreverent Warriors. So Nick, anything else about that you want to share, or at least so you're maintaining those relationships and having that camaraderie, then for you has certainly been helpful, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I even, after talking to Cindy after the Virginia Beach hike, and I even went down to one in Savannah, Georgia. That one was also a blast when I was living on the East Coast. Then once I moved out here, I immediately got hooked up with the coordinating team in Oceanside. And it was a huge struggle to put on an event in Oceanside this year because of COVID. But we ended up finding a way. It wasn't a hike. It was more of like a gathering, but we're going to have another one next year. Still kind of working out the details on when, but yeah, we're working on making plans for that. And it's just been awesome being able to contribute to something that helps so many veterans.
Well, so the future is we kind of popped to Nate, asked him, like, well, what are your relationships with the NFL like? He said, well, we don't have any relationships with the NFL. And so I said, well, you're supposed to be either active or discharged to go. And he goes, yeah, but we have a lot of volunteers who really help, and it makes a huge difference. And he said, we would really love to explore the possibilities of, you know, partnering with some teams in the Bay Area, Niner boys. Anyway, about that. So once we kind of pass through a little bit more COVID and get things safe, you know, within the next year, hopefully we can get some dates for some of those things going on locally in the Bay and or down where you're at, and find a way to get them hooked up with the NFL. So that's kind of a parlay out of this whole thing that's working. So we're trying to explore that down the road a little bit. So that should be really fun. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Well, Nick, you know, one of the things we do like to talk about is just having questions. So, you know, there's a lot, like you said, your story, I think, is really common to the stories that we hear. There's just so many variables that go into this. It's not per se just being in the military, not just my experiences there, but there's so many other things in life that come at us. But do you see some big structural issues, that either things that are happening that shouldn't be happening, or things that aren't happening that could be happening in a better way that would be more effective to helping people who are facing this, as far as people that have served in the military or are serving?
Yeah, I think, like, kind of in my opinion anyways, a lot of the people that I see that have a lot of these issues are junior enlisted. So they're like they have a, you know, a ranking system. They go E1 to E9, which is, they're all enlisted. So E1's the lowest, E9 is the highest. So I'm E5, kind of somewhat in the middle. So like pretty much from my level down is considered junior enlisted, but a lot of them just don't feel like they can talk to their leadership about a lot of the things that are stressing them out at work, because there is a lot that's expected of the junior enlisted. Like, luckily for me right now, I'm at a place where it's pretty easy going. But you know, the past two commands that I've been at on the aircraft carrier and at the ship's husbandry command I was at, it was very demanding physically and mentally. And a lot of people don't feel like they can necessarily go to their leadership for everything. And maybe it's just fear of, you know, repercussions, or they just don't feel comfortable, whatever it might be. Not to say that there aren't any good leaders out there. There's a lot of good leaders out there in the military, but for whatever reason, some of these junior enlisted feel like they can't express themselves and tell them their leadership what's going on. So they just kind of bottle it up and keep it in, and it's really just not healthy for them. And I think that the military also puts out a lot of like suicide prevention stuff, and what's bothering a lot of these people is the stuff they experience in the military. So they don't want to go to the military for this, more suicide prevention training. They're like, things haven't been so good for me in the military necessarily so far because of the things I've done or experienced. So I don't want more help from them to tell me, what they think might be wrong with me. Like they don't know what's best for me. So they don't seek help elsewhere. So that's what Irreverent Warriors is really trying to do. They're trying to give them an outlet that's not affiliated with the military. And I think that's why it's been so successful, because it's, we're all veterans or military, but it doesn't really, it doesn't have that military feeling, I guess. It has more of the veteran feeling. It's like you get that camaraderie again that you had with your fellow junior enlisted, and what you really miss about it. And I think that they should have like suicide prevention liaisons. They really shouldn't. I mean, this is all just my opinion or what I've seen happen that I don't really agree with, but they really try and hound on all these suicide prevention trainings that just don't really work, when I think they should be seeking help outside of the military and organizations like Irreverent Warriors.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that input and feedback. So we'll see if we can't pass that along to people that might listen to it. So, but again, we're encouraging folks to ask for help, because there are resources outside the military that could be available. And then for just people non-military that would want to support, we're going to have a link. We got that from Nate, so people can donate money, and then they can find Silky Hike or their activities sponsored by a Irreverent Warrior near them, and they can sign up to volunteer and support folks that are going through this and that are participating, who have either been in the military or still are in the military. So anything else you would want to just say to the general public out there as far as, trying to address some of these issues?
Definitely just don't try and struggle through it on your own. I know, like, not just from my own experience, from talking to a lot of other people as well. Like, I had a buddy who I was the first person that he told that he had considered suicide, and I was like, "How long you been thinking about this?" He said it was like years. I was like, "Dude, you gotta talk about that shit a lot sooner than that. You just can't." You can't keep it all bottled up. You can't, try to, quote unquote, be a man about it. It's really what's hurting a lot of people, that they feel like they don't have an outlet. They can't talk to anybody. So, find something that makes you happy. Even outside the military, like, that's what I've told a lot of people. I say I found rugby. Rugby's been a huge support system for me. I love all the, friends and family I made through rugby, and just go out, find something like that makes you happy, that, that belongs to you, and just keep with it.
And I think something I just want to touch on that I keep hearing is like, it's like you lose this giant piece of your life, right? And it's kind of this identity situation where you've always grown up like having a team and having this organization behind you. And obviously the military is that times 1,000, 1,000,000, whatever scientific number we're going to use. And so I think it's really, to also anybody else, because I know we have a lot of people who aren't military based who are listening to our podcast, but like thinking about what it's like to go through transitions of losing an identity. And like, for me, it was losing volleyball and not playing anymore. And that was really crazy and hard. And I still find those times when I'm like, and really the reason that I feel like connected to this right now is because I just saw one of my teammates who we went to OU together, and it was so amazing just to see her and to be able to snap back into that camaraderie of just like being, I don't know, just like being with somebody as you go through this hard time in your life, and as fabulous as volleyball was and as fabulous as OU was, and I'm assuming, like as fabulous as something was, there were still a lot of hard things. And so in parallel with the military, like there's a lot of incredible things that you got to do and see and experience. There are a lot of hard things. And I think that it's really important, no matter on what organizational level or where you are personally, to have those people and to have those connections and to really pay attention to what we're feeling, because not talking about it, like you just said, can really suffocate what's going on and brush a lot of heavy things under the rug, or just push them aside when they don't need to be pushed aside, because there are so many organizations out there and so many people out there who really care and who really want to help. So with that, Nick, anything else you want to add? It's been really fun, and I'm so glad that you reached out and told us about Irreverent Warriors and that we were able to have you on the podcast. But is there anything else that you want to share, or GK, anything, guys?
No, thanks for the opportunity to let me come on and talk, and thank you guys so much for contributing to Irreverent Warriors. It's a great foundation, and that's why I'm volunteering my time to help them out. So yeah, thank you.
Well, when we actually get to volunteer, I am for sure going to be there. I don't have any Silkies, but I'm going to find some. And Nate told me that I can pass out cookies, so we'll do that. But what's on the table for Thanksgiving with you and your honeys?
I don't really know. So we're making some desserts. So we're actually going over to, well, I don't know if I'm going to get arrested for saying this, but we're going over to a friend's house. We're all COVID free, but it's a very small gathering. We're going to social distance and whatnot. But we're making Kate made some peanut butter pie, I believe. And they're having the turkey, so
I'm in.
Okay, and last question. Sorry, I wanted to ask this one before the Thanksgiving one, but what is the post-Navy plan?
So it's a good question. Like I said, I kind of wanted to get into a 4-year university to study nutritional science and like more so nutritional science and kinesiology, because just the aspect of nutrition I've been getting really interested in it lately. So I'd like to work with athletes, either youth or professional, just to help them perform to the best of their ability, because I didn't really realize how big of a factor nutrition really is. Like it can really set you apart when you do the right things. So
it affects your mental. That's the thing that people, I feel like, don't really think about it or don't understand, is like how much your nutrition, how much what you put into your body affects your mental state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So understanding that. Well,
just a quick, George, we want to thank you for being with us, co-host and most regular guest. I just a little pop out to you. So Niners are down at the Rams, and I know. So just anything, can you give us a little Niner update on how things there? You guys are coming off a bye week, obviously looking to get a win against in division rivalry and all that kind of stuff. And any update on you that you can provide us?
Niners at Rams. It's gonna be a fun game. Rams went down Monday Night Football, beat years. It was a great win for them. I think the boys they're ready to roll. It was kind of a wild bye week. We couldn't really do anything. We had some tests flare up and stuff like that. But I know the bodies are healthy, and they're definitely willing. And I know they're excited to get down and play the beautiful new stadium in LA. That'll be really cool. So I'm just talking to my tight end group. I know that they're very excited to go out there and play some football again, because it's definitely been missed this bye week, and football's pretty fun. So they're excited about that, and I'm excited about my recovery so far. Out of the boot, walking, doing some cool new things every day. I feel like such a great athlete when you can't run. Super fun, but getting better slowly but surely. Just can't wait to get back on the field.
Okay.
And also thank you to Nick for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. And also, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. George, I had 2 things I wanted to say. One, I'm super jealous of your hair. I've always wanted really long hair, but the Navy won't let me. This is like the longest it's been in a while because of COVID. They won't let us get haircuts, which I'm happy about. And also, so some of my rugby buddies back in Virginia Beach have a fantasy league, and one of the guys named Mike traded you away, and everybody else in the league was like, you got to get a hold of George and tell him to tell Mike how dumb he is for trading George away. So do you have anything to say about that?
Mike.
Damn it, Mike.
Hey, Mike, when the day comes that I come back and I carry your new opponent to a victory over you because I put up 40 in a fantasy football game, you're going to regret it. And I hope that if the day ever comes that I do meet you, I don't know if I'll shake your hand because you didn't tell me you were trading me. You just did it. So there's respect in this game and respect in this league, and I didn't get any from you. So shove it.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go. Brought it back to Mike. All right, good. And then,
awesome.
Nikki, where'd you grow up? So in the Frantz household growing up, what team did you guys follow in the NFL?
I've been a Vikings fan my entire life. So last year during the playoffs, I was super torn when the 49ers played the Vikings. And I was going to be happy either way because I had a team to root for going forward. But yeah, it was a little bit soul crushing to watch you guys crush my Vikings, but it was also, I was also happy to watch you play and succeed. And
down.
What's that?
It's a beat down. Was it 200 yards rushing? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we rushed times or 48 times.
40, yeah. We had people's moms calling us the next week. Like, what did you do to my kid? Like, this is illegal. Where are the police when we need them? That was terrible.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's always fun watching you play, George. It reminds me of the way I like to play rugby. I like just running angry and hitting people. So it's a blast watching you play and succeed. And I can't wait for you to recover and get back on the field. So good luck with that.
Thanks, Nick, man.
Yeah,
all right, Nick, we appreciate you and all of our men and women in service, and appreciate all that. And we look forward to getting hooked up with the Irreverent Warrior people, and just stay tuned for the next segment with Nate. Great interview, and just to learn more about it. Georgie, love you, brother, and we'll talk a little bit later. So, Nick, you take care and tell the girls hi. And,
will do. Thank you.
And that lovely wife of yours. All right. Thanks very much.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a good one.
Okay, so Nate, we are recording.
Okay, wait. And we are 1, 2, 3, action.
Yep.
Okay, now we're ready.
Okay. We have introduced our charity focus this week, the Irreverent Warriors, in our interview with Nick Franz and George. We are very proud to have joining us today, Vice President and Chief Operations Officer for Irreverent Warriors, Nate McDonald. So welcome, Nate, and thank you for being with us on the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me from balmy Wisconsin. I feel like your weather's nicer there.
It's not. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so a little bio on Nate. Nate served in the Marine Corps as an intelligence operator for special projects. He was honorably discharged in 2012 after joint operations combat tours in multiple theaters. His experience while serving in the Marines and with tactical intelligence operations kept him within the Department of Defense, where he now works as a consultant and subject matter expert supporting various government and military organizations.
That sounds like super, behind, like, if you tell us too much, I might have to worry about somebody seeing me in the middle of the night. Like, that's
well,
really
I feel like
James
it's supposed
Bond.
to sound special, right?
That's really special.
It does. Nate has worked for multiple military and veteran organizations over the last decade and now serves as the Vice President and Chief Operations Officer for Irreverent Warriors. He has personally experienced the toll that military service takes on so many by losing comrades both in the line of duty and as a result of the psychological battles they continue to fight afterwards. After getting out of active duty, Nate knew there was little he could do to have the backs of his comrades downrange, but was determined to do something to make an impact in the lives of those continuing their fight at home. One of the greatest contributors to the mental health struggles and suicide rates of military personnel is isolation. Nate believes strongly that although everyone struggles and works through trauma in different ways, one thing is consistent: very few can do it alone. Nate became involved with Irreverent Warriors because it was an organization that demonstrated they were committed to creating a community of support and camaraderie. Reversing the mental health and suicide issue issue so prevalent in the military and veteran communities today will require a broad-based collective effort. In addition to his military service, Nate has a BS degree in Bachelor's of Science degree in both management and military and intelligence studies. So, Nate, welcome. Quite the bio. But
I thought you guys said you cut that shorter.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
I took out 2 paragraphs. We've already done.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Oh.
So let's just jump down here. Okay. So Nate, thanks for being with us. And again, really appreciate it. So we kind of talked about the particular mission. You can sure do that. I just want to kind of get into it because your bio talks a lot about your personal service and that. So I guess what I wanted to do is could you tell us just a little bit about your story and whatever you want to share about your service, but I know that obviously you can't do all that. And with, the career that you've had without being impacted by that. And then what got you into working with the Irreverent Warriors and why you think that work is so important?
Yeah, sure thing. So I did have a slightly different military experience than most, but I got into the military just purely because I wanted to serve my country. I know it sounds like super uber patriotic and kind of cliche, but that was it. My grandpa served in World War II, and he had a big influence on my childhood. And any time that his service came up, there was just this overwhelming sense of pride. And I never heard war stories or, stories of valor. It was just a sense of pride in having served his country. And I wanted that. I wanted to serve the US. So I joined the Marine Corps and had no idea what I was in for. Had a wake-up call real fast, but then immediately got selected for a duty station that I didn't choose at all. Ended up in special projects and was nonstop for 5 years until I got out in 2012. Multiple trips downrange and just kept busy. I would say that experience transitioning from the military to the civilian world is really the biggest thing I wanted to talk about. And that kind of almost started while I was in, because I was watching other people make that transition. But while you're active duty, there's this culture, almost out of necessity, of you take a hit, whether that's psychological or physical, and you roll off it and you move on. You don't get the opportunity to take a knee or to have a moment. There's toughness that's ingrained in you, and it's not just for yourself, but it's because other people rely on you. The mission relies on you, and I think you kind of take that with you when you transition out of the military. And a lot of people, both in the military and out, don't know how to take that and turn it off and ask for help when they need it. And as I mentioned in my bio, that's one of the things that I experienced my first deployment. We saw all kinds of stuff, and yet the attrition rate at home was almost as significant as it was downrange. There were people killing themselves at home in a non-combat zone just due to their own psychological battles.
So thank you for sharing that. So and I do really appreciate that. So I just want to clarify, when you say downrange, we're talking like in an area like where you're touring and you've got live combat and that piece, right? So working all those pieces. Okay. And then you can talk a little bit more about numbers, but obviously then you're seeing and with your transition. So I do want to invite you to talk a little bit more about, that mentality. So I'm 61. And so the premier male role model for me growing up was John Wayne. And, he would punch first, talk later, if ever, hardly ever, right? And you never complained about anything, right? Have your leg shot off, punched up, arrow to the back, whatever, and you just get back on the horse and keep riding. And as I got older, I learned that was a really terrible role model. As far as, it's really cool in the movies, and it looks really all that badass and all that kind of stuff. But in reality, as far as like actually surviving and having a sense that it's okay to know what your feelings are and that you're struggling, and heaven forbid you actually need help, that whole thing, because there's a complete cultural mystique that I think really victimizes people who ask for help in a way and all that. So would you tell us a little bit more then? So this transition that you had from the military, as you were seeing it coming, kind of your days in service, closing out, at least as it had been, and then making the recognition about, how this whole cultural thing is not working for us. So tell us a little bit more about that, and then how you got plugged into Irreverent Warriors.
Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect example of the culture change the culture I was talking about, and the culture change that needs to happen. And you nailed it when you said it's almost unacceptable. And it's not just because it's frowned upon to be weak in the military. There's been an awareness over the last few decades that constantly command climate surveys, morale checkpoints, they reach out and they ask, hey guys, if you're struggling mentally, we have resources for you. But nobody wants to raise their hand because they immediately feel weak or judged. Immediately they're put on suicide watch, or, well, now we have to babysit you. And then even more importantly to us, while we're active duty, that takes us out of the fight. Now, our entire team is down a team member because we couldn't handle a mental battle. And that makes us feel even weaker. And I think that's really hard to put aside when you transition into the civilian world. And I really don't think that there should be a difference between the way you deal with that psychological trauma while you're in and after you get out. But I mean, we both know there is. A lot of times you'd mentioned isolation and how I feel like that's a giant part of mental health problems and then eventually suicide. And a lot of people hear the word isolation and they assume that people mean physically. Physical isolation, you don't have people around you. You're sitting alone on the couch watching TV all day, getting depressed. And it's not that. It's isolation in your problems. It's psychological isolation. For instance, if you're in and you're able to open up about your issues, whether it's sitting around a smoke pit, telling just crude jokes about terrible situations, you have a way to vent to someone else that gets it, that understands. Whereas you find yourself isolating yourself psychologically, mentally, and trying to deal with those issues yourself, it puts you in a really dark place and you end up spiraling. Those thoughts, those issues never get out, and you feel like you're alone in your circumstances with your trauma. And I think that's even more prevalent once you get out of the military than it is when you get in. At least when you're in, you're surrounded by a demographic that has some sort of shared experience. It may not be combat, it may not be physical trauma or psychological trauma, but you have other people that served in the military and have some sort of shared experience. And then you get out and you enter the civilian world, and sure, they have tons of classes on that transition. Hey guys, seek help. Here's all the veteran resources for you. But that's not how we've always opened up. That's not how we deal with trauma. When we have a bad day, downrange or at home, we call our buddies. We talk to our friends. We go to the people that are there with us, that understand. And that's something you lose when you make that transition into the civilian world. You don't have that support connection anymore. You're in the workplace and the world starts closing in around you, and you feel like day-to-day problems are just insurmountable. And suddenly you're having a really, really tough time dealing, and you don't feel like you can go to Joe to the next desk over and say, hey man, I cannot handle today, because you don't know how they're going to respond to that. Well, here's another effed up veteran. I don't know what to do with him. And so that's what we're trying to change with Irreverent Warriors. We aren't the solution for everything, and we're not trying to be. Our point is not we're doing it better, it's we're doing it different. We are taking a different step in this unconventional therapy and reintroducing people to a family, a network that can be there for them.
That's amazing. And even like Dad said, we're not directly military, but we have family, and obviously we're friends with Nick, and we've talked and heard stories and such. But the mental drain that I feel sometimes when I have problems and I don't want to be a burden, and I know how that affects me psychologically. Like, I know the weight of that backpack that I carry around. Like, I can't even put it into context or emotion what it feels like to be carrying something so much larger around like that, and then to be isolated. So I think everything y'all are doing is incredible. Can you talk about the different, like what is so different about it? And then just the different ways that you're approaching this and how you're helping people?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I didn't understand when I first saw Irreverent Warriors was the therapeutic aspect of the whole thing, what I was just talking about. I've tried to be a part of this culture change in the veteran and military community and this support network, making a difference in the overall mental health and, just preventing veteran suicide, basically our mission statement, in multiple ways. And I felt like there was a gap. And for me, the primary gap was having veterans and military, one, be willing to ask for help and to have someone in their life that they felt like they could talk to. A lot of people, they're given resources, but they don't want to call a hotline. They don't want to walk into the VA and talk to a stranger. Once again, that's not how we've ever dealt with it. So it was that. And then the other side of it was they just didn't know how, and they felt too tough. So there was tons of resources out there, but bridging that gap, getting them to be willing to reach out to someone that they liked, that cared about them, but also having someone care about them enough that they cared about themselves. We have so many veterans that the second they're out of that team, they're out of their unit, they don't have someone relying on them. They don't have, this is going to sound terrible, but they don't have as much of a reason to excel, to really do well, to care about themselves. And Irreverent Warriors, reconnecting them with brothers and sisters that throw an arm around them and say, hey man, let's do this. Let's fix it. Pull yourself together. What are you doing? Like having someone care enough about you that you're going to go and get help, find resources. Like that's a huge gap that we have. So seeing that was a shock out of Irreverent Warriors, because I was introduced to the organization in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I had a friend that was trying to coordinate a Silkies hike there. That's our main event, is Silkies hikes. Put on these tiny PT shorts. They look ridiculous, so freaking comical. Some people throw on rucksacks, some people don't. Doesn't really matter. Some people don't wear Silkies. Doesn't matter either. The whole point of Silkies is just kind of break down some barriers. It's hard to be like uber masculine and keep your walls up when you're wearing shorty shorts. So that was kind of the concept behind it. But for me, I was just a former Marine in the veteran community that was like, a hike for a good cause. I'm down. I'll help coordinate it. And then coordinated my first Irreverent Warriors Silkies hike. And about 2 hours in, I was like, oh, this is a lot bigger than a Silkies hike. This isn't about the Silkies or the rock, or even if we go anywhere. That was the hook. That was getting these veterans to show up. These bravado masculine dudes aren't going to show up if we're like, hey guys, we got a prayer circle in the woods, come on out. But if we tell them, hey guys, we're going to put on some Marine Corps Silkies and some rucksacks, and we're going to ruck 22K for all these people that are messed up. Like, oh, I'm going to be there for my brothers and do something manly. And then they show up, and about 2 legs into the event, they're crying on another dude's shoulder. And they have that therapy that they didn't even know they were missing. So that was kind of my transition from thinking it was just an event, just another fun thing to do, and realizing this organization was going to save lives.
Pretty, okay, so the one I just want to highlight, so when I'm hearing you, there's 2 real big things. The isolation part, because I'm detached from the unit that I was with, and I think unless you've been in that setting, you can't really appreciate the depth of the bonds, when people fight and do all those things together. So, and then the cultural constraints, about being super tough, macho, dealing with pain. But then you add on the extra layer of like almost the penalty for asking for help. And so when I start to go into that spiral, and then if I feel like I do need help, I can't ask for help because then I'm even weaker. And then it pushes me even deeper. And it's like, then there's the decision, well, then I don't have any reason for being. I'm not connected to my unit. I don't have a team. and the place I'm in, I'm embarrassed about where I'm at, and heaven knows I can't ask for help. And so I might as well not be here. So anyway, and so I love we were looking at the pictures on the PDF that you sent with the silky. So those all look pretty good. So that's a heck of an idea. So camaraderie. So we're breaking down the isolation and making it okay to share. And I think the other key point too is, it's one thing to kind of talk to, so I can say I care and all that kind of stuff. But like, if I haven't been where you guys have been and face the same stuff and have that military culture and the training, and then also the experiences, in theater like that, it just, there's probably a disconnect where guys want to talk with somebody that they know gets all those other pieces. And so, anyway, bravo on the idea and your participation. So eventually then you do more than just organize a hike, and then tell us a little bit more about any of the other programs that you guys are working on.
Absolutely. So my transition from that to where I'm at with the organization now was, we'll just say it was a process for sure. Just between my career and everything else, I felt like I didn't have time. And eventually, the more and more I got involved with the organization, I realized I didn't have a choice. I had to make time. So I went from just helping out and being leadership at the events, helping coordinate, to being asked to take a bigger role. I realized that we were doing really well with the events, but that's one day out of 365. And we needed to start creating a lasting network. It needed to transition beyond the hike. And part of that in this day and age is social media. So I took on social media, and then public relations, and then marketing. And then by about 3 months later, the president and our founder were chatting and asked me to do more. And I was like, oh no, I absolutely don't have time. And then Cindy, our president, we were on a phone call, and she was like, Nate, you're already doing it. You're doing all the things. I just want you to take the title so you can represent the organization. So I finally just understood that I needed to quit being stubborn. And that's when I transitioned from managing public affairs and public relations and marketing and social media, and took on vice president and chief operating officer. And then shortly thereafter, we had our first national conference, started growing leadership within the organization and professionalizing. Since then, we've developed an SOP and a handbook for the organization, started actually getting our sponsorship and marketing decks together. It's been a slow process. All of us are volunteers. I don't get paid a dime for this. It's just my second full-time job for free. And it's all, the reward is in the effect. And there's nothing I would rather do with my spare time. So that's kind of where it's gone. And we are looking forward to taking it beyond Silky's hikes. At the same time, we don't ever want to move away from what we're doing and how we're doing it. Like I said earlier on, our goal is not to be all the things for a veteran. We can't do vocational rehabilitation, clinical therapy. That's not our lane. Our lane is to get people to those resources, to connect people to other veteran service organizations. We have this terribly destructive culture in the veteran community. And I'm not saying it's everywhere, but you'll see it, especially if you start getting involved, and it's a branding thing. Well, we are doing this. Look at our brand. And it shouldn't be about that. We don't do a good enough job networking and embracing each other's missions and actually supporting other efforts. We can't be everything to every veteran. It takes all of us to turn these trends around. And we all need to actually focus on our mission and play our part, and then rely on the rest of the veteran community to take their side of the mission and do their job.
Well said, sir. Well said. Yeah, that was good.
Okay, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, so in thinking of, I mean, I love that idea of, thank you. Thank you. I have to talk into the mic. Staying in your lane and like being really good at what you're good at. And I think that a lot of times, and we've even seen with this podcast, it's like, well, you try to just do all the things and like get your hands into it. And I think the magic definitely starts to happen when you can find what you're really good at and allow other people to help you. And be that support network. So I think it's really cool you guys have recognized that. So let's talk about the actual people who you are providing service to. So like current active military, is it non-active or just discharged, or survivors, fallen service members? What's kind of your group demographic? I mean, obviously we have the Silkies crew, but what else do you have?
No, that's a fantastic question. So many people hear veteran service organization, or they'll see in our mission statement, preventing veteran suicide. And there's this idea that veteran means post-service, and it doesn't. It means you have served. It means you've chosen to raise your hand, you've gone through basic training, and you're active duty military or reservist military, but you've been military or are military. So you'll see in a lot of our literature on our website, in a lot of our statements, we add military in there. That's not because we feel like we should have to, but it kind of breaks down that barrier for people between the two. This isn't about post-service military. This isn't about Purple Heart. People respect their service and their sacrifice, but this isn't about combat veterans. One of the things we've recognized is people have struggles regardless of how they've served and where they served. And we're not about trying to segregate the different types of veterans. We have multiple different organizations and foundations that focus on a particular demographic or a particular service or a particular need set. We're more of a melting pot. And you see that at almost every event. We have service members from Vietnam show up and hike our entire event and put some young dudes to shame. And then we have post 9/11 vets that just got out of basic training and are sitting there with their proud one service ribbon hanging on their t-shirt. It doesn't matter. You never know when you walk up to one of these events who you're going to connect with. And I could be there and be the only person at the event and have each of those 200 people walk up and maybe be the person that 3 of them needed to talk to. But somebody there is going to be your medicine for the day, and hopefully beyond that day. Somebody there is going to connect with you and probably become a whole lot more than a friend. We have people that have attended an Irreverent Warriors event because it looked like a lot of fun, and those are their family now. They're their best friends. And it a lot of times doesn't matter their age or their service type or where they served. As far as beyond that, honestly, right now, that's our focus. It's that network. It's connecting veterans and military. And once we do that really good and have the resources to expand it, we'll take another step. But until we reach that step, we're just going to keep executing where we're at.
Good plan. We like it. So that's pretty cool. And as you were saying all that, I guess I was thinking, she kind of bogarting the mic. She likes to, she's the producer and Mick calls all the shots. So I'm just the talent and good looks. All right. But that notion, I was thinking about that within the military, right? There's this kind of, or could be, if I had a couple active tours or not tours, if I was stateside the whole time and all that kind of thing. And so I think that would be kind of an issue, or at least, to make sure that that's not kind of a dividing factor, because people can struggle no matter what. And certainly being in the military can be a contributor to it because there's that same kind of culture. So that would seem to be quite an avenue to make sure that you're overcoming all that. Okay. So I read some more about the website stuff, and I think we covered most of that stuff about the mental and spiritual support, just getting people together, not taking ourselves too seriously, connecting with people who've kind of been there, and creating a safe space for people to get what they need and to share what they have. So I do appreciate that very much. So we got the Silkies hike, the social media stuff that you guys have been working on. And then, so how do people get connected with you guys? And I guess the one thing I did want to read or talk to you about, do you guys have a specific kind of outreach with like either the NFL or their professional sports? Have you done anything like that? Because it's a little outside the mission, because the whole deal is that you guys talk within each other because you guys know each other and have that common experience. So maybe there's nothing going on as far as that goes, but I just want to work on that. And then how do people, I can go to the website if I'm active or discharged and hook up or whatever, but tell us about how people get with you guys.
Absolutely. So I'm a diehard football fan. I love the NFL, love college football. I think I always have, might have been born that way. So I would love a bigger relationship with the NFL, and most of our dudes honestly would as well. One of the things that is also a misunderstanding is people see our mission statement and how we operate within our Silkies hike, which is our main event. And you mentioned it, the safe space, the having people at their events, inside the event, and having other people that are just military and veterans so they can open up without worrying about offending someone or having someone not understand. It gives them more freedom to just speak what's on their heart, what's on their mind. But that being said, that is just that event. Our pre-hike, post-hike, other events, we're looking at trying to, well, not trying, we will be expanding into some other things like veteran festivals, music festivals. We want to expand beyond just the Silkies hike, and 100% embrace the fact that we need support from elsewhere. The veteran community, as powerful as it is, the military community, same. We need support from everyone that is willing to support us. And that's something we haven't really done really well as an organization to this point. We've embraced that support, but we haven't sought it at all. All of our funding for our local events has come from the city that the event is taking place in. And part of the reason for that is we want our local coordinators to interact with the local community so they can create that local support for veterans and military where they're at, kind of create those community relationships. As a national organization, we've been focused on supporting the local level. We're getting to the point where things like professionalizing our website, getting marketing resources, professionalizing our social media, all of those things take money. We don't even have a marketing budget. So we are going to need resources. We're going to need some support from other people. And we've started partnerships with Grunt Style. We have a partnership with Vet TV and a few other organizations that are helping us on that marketing side of things. But as far as funding and everything else, eventually we're going to need a full-time staff. I mean, we kind of already have one that's unpaid, but all of those things are going to require resources from outside of us. And we're looking forward to embracing that.
Well, and what a testimony, because we saw on your website that you've already reached over 6 million people. So to do that, did I get that right? 6 million? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to do that without a marketing budget, like, that's incredible. And obviously showing that people need and want this work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, so I don't know, I kind of tossed up there about, are there any systemic issues and or anything else you want people to know or understand? And then what would you ask people? So if I'm non-military, but I think this is a really good idea, how can people help support the work of Irreverent Warriors?
So systemic issues is for sure a thing we always kick around. And one of the things that we kind of touched on earlier is the fact that every veteran needs something else, given their trauma or their experience or whatever else. They have a different type of medicine they're seeking. And Irreverent Warriors certainly isn't for everyone. We have people show up to our events in full frog suits, just full combat get up, tacticaled out, that are trying to ruck 5 miles an hour and leave everybody in the dust. And I support that. Like, if that's your version of therapy, then go get it. That's just not what we're about. And we have people show up and they're like, people are telling some bad jokes and they're having a drink, one too many maybe. This just isn't my scene. Understood. Like, that's part of it. One of the things we don't do is discourage the other types of medicine that people need. For instance, so prevalent once again in the veteran culture is the whole, the VA sucks. Like, you hear it constantly everywhere. And I've had my struggles with the process, transitioning out of the military and dealing with the Veterans Administration. But Veterans Affairs is necessary. And this cultural side of things, these issues that are so prevalent that need to be changed, they're going to require the VA to come along with us. They've already recognized Irreverent Warriors several times as a unconventional therapy method. organizations like the VFW, they are huge with a massive footprint across the United States. And they've started seeing what we're doing and reached out and said, hey, we want to be a part of this too. We have a different demographic than you do, but we both have a similar mission. We want to support veterans and military. So let's tackle this. As far as it being systemic, it's really, really hard to say this is the fix. You know, we just need to do this one thing better, just because so many people look at veterans and military, and this is once again going to sound kind of like a ridiculous statement, but people look at it from the outside perspective and they go, this is those people, and they're put in a box. You know, they're tough, probably a little messed up, but they're tough and disciplined and strong and maybe a little quirky. But they don't realize the widespread dynamic within the military. And I kind of touched on that within the element, but everybody has such a unique experience, a unique personality, like a unique way of dealing with trauma. And it just goes on and on. It's such a unique culture. And I have a hard time looking at the struggles with mental health and PTSD and suicide and saying, this is the fix. Because in my opinion, as I mentioned earlier, it's just going to take all of us.
So if I'm non-military, then how do I support you guys' work? So what do I do? Because I can't really come to a hike, right? So I'm out of that because if I'm not in. So if we could donate some money and then obviously share the work that you guys are doing. So if we have contact with somebody, we could tell them about you guys. And is there anything else you'd like folks to know?
Absolutely. So all of our event pages are linked to our website, which is www.irreverentwarriors.com. And one of the ticket options is volunteer. And one of the first things I'd tell people that want to be invested in the organization that don't really know what we're about or don't really get it, and you still might, after you attend the event, you might not understand what we're all about. It's just can be a little confusing, but you show up to the event and invest, talk to some people, hand out some water bottles, some cookies, and just listen and talk. We have volunteers and family members, non-service members that volunteer at every single one of our events. Depending on the event, it's usually between 20 and 50 individuals. And they're just there to help out however they are needed. And that is huge for the attendees. They love that inside the hike element, they can do and say what they need to, but having the support of our family, our civilian counterparts is amazing. And they love seeing that. They're walking along sidewalks, high-fiving kids, and well, nowadays, fist bumps, right? Because COVID's a real thing. But they love that support from the community. Aside from that, like you mentioned, absolutely support local events, support the organization. All of that information is on our website. And the biggest thing, the other thing you mentioned, just marketing our mission. I tell people that is our pry. We can talk about funding or supporting financially, supporting social media, or even supporting physically at the event. But at the end of the day, if veterans don't know that Irreverent Warriors exist, if they don't know that this group of individuals is out there ready to embrace them and talk to them, to get weird with them for a day and ruck around in silkies and have a drink with their buddy, we can't help them. They will keep feeling isolated. So that's the biggest thing you can do.
We intend to push this far and wide. So I hope that we help in some way, and would definitely love to come and volunteer at an event. I
Awesome.
hand out a mean cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to find one in the Bay. So we'll work with you about getting all the appropriate links and social media stuff that you want to put onto the show notes. So we'll get all that stuff added in. And we really appreciate you taking time to meet with us and doing this, and appreciate all the work you guys are doing. So we look forward to staying in relationship and contact with you guys. And I don't know about Emma, but I can wear silkies and hand out cookies or something, I guess. So we'll just have to see how that goes once,
That would be fantastic.
You want some silkies?
Yeah,
We're gonna have
those. I'm
we
looking
can
for
get
that.
you
So,
some.
but Nate, we
We're gonna
wish
have
you the
5
very
or 6
best.
events next year in California. So,
Okay.
Do you have any in the Bay Area, or is it because you guys are in Los Angeles area, right?
we do. We have one in Oceanside every year, but we have like 4 or 5 other ones this upcoming year. We were gonna have one in Napa, but I can absolutely.
Well,
it's actually gonna get
my
posted.
type of volunteer event.
I know, right?
Right.
But it's gonna get. Our new event list is gonna get posted probably early January.
Okay, and I'll push that out on our social media so that everybody knows. So we'll put it up for you guys.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Nate, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family and all of that. So we'll look forward to getting more info from you about all the stuff we can post on the show notes. Wish you the very best as you go forward. And just, this holiday season, particularly over the next month and a half, we'll be certainly thinking about and promoting all of our veterans and active service military, whoever and wherever they are, and particularly those who are struggling with mental health issues, and see if we can continue to pull down the numbers that we're seeing as far as suicide, because we'd sure like to make a dent in that. So again, thank you so much for being with us on the show. Appreciate it very much, and enjoy your family.
Thank you, sir. Thank you both so much for your time and investment. It's very appreciated.
All right. Take care, man.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
The music, Emma.
She's not here. We don't have any music.
We don't have it, remember?
Mom, sing something.
You can do Sunflower.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
There.
Oh, that's right.
It's like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz.
A.
Make sure to say welcome to Ask George.
That one too.
He's
not
Hey guys,
Hi, George.
Your sunglasses are great.
wonderful woman in my life doing tonight.
So good. Are you ready for this?
I am locked, loaded, alerted, focused in, locked up, ready to ride or die. Let's
Your hair's
dive in.
so long.
Are we ready to go in? Do we have to do anything?
I'm gonna haircut.
Just say,
Yeah.
all right, y'all, welcome to Ask
No one
George.
knows how long I'm gonna. No one knows how short I'm gonna cut it.
You're not
What
going
do
to
you
cut it
think?
short. That's a rule.
It's not as long as mine.
Okay.
All right.
Ready? We're going to start. 3,
All right,
2,
I'm ready.
1. Okay. Welcome to Ask George. We switched it up here a little bit with some different host action. We have Jan, Mama Jan,
Hi, Mom.
and
Hi,
me.
George.
How are
Hi.
you, George?
Oh my gosh, I miss you.
Good. That was my first question. Can you elaborate?
Well, honestly, when you get time after being married, like you get time to yourself, it's nice. Like you can do whatever you want. But, and this is an example, I think I told you this already, but like I'll be in my game room playing video games and I'll stick my head out and Claire's not sitting there and it just feels different. It doesn't feel like I'm at home. Like wherever Claire is where my home is. And when she's not here, it feels, and so I always like, because Claire always lights all the candles to make it feel nice and homey and fun. And so I light the candles, but then I set alarms to remind myself to blow them out before I go to bed. But it's that.
Wow, you're cute.
That's
But yeah,
Jan's role.
I can play 12 hours of video games, but I'd rather do it with you out on the couch because I know that you're.
Well,
That
that's
makes, I don't know. I'm a psychopath. But I asked Trent the same thing, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I totally feel the same way, though. It's weird when you don't have your significant other next."
It's like a level of comfort situation.
I don't feel at home unless you're there.
Yeah. I will say, before the Furbo went wacky on me the other day, I kept getting all the notifications and I swiped it on and I saw 3 candles were lit and it made me very happy.
I do that because I get lonely.
Just making the house homier. Fabulous. All right. Well, your mama has a question for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, you ready, George? All right. So I know that Aaron Donald you think is the best player in the NFL, correct?
Yeah.
However, other than Aaron Donald, who would you say was I would say the strongest, best player, defensive player you've gone against?
That I went against?
Yes.
Can I say Nick Bosa, or do you want a different team?
No, No, not Nick Boza. I mean,
Well,
that's good. That's a compliment to Nick. Very, yeah. But other than the 49er, that maybe surprised you.
That surprised me. Well, Khalil Mack wasn't really a surprise. He was just really good.
Right.
Yeah, he's a monster as well. I mean, one of my favorite guys to play all the time is Bobby Wagner or Buda Baker. They're both just defensive guys that they're just different. You know, the level that they play at, the intensity they play with.
Bean.
The level of intensity that they play with.
Yeah.
If you don't mirror it or play at a higher level, then they're going to whoop up on you. So those are two guys I love playing against. And it's fun for me too, because they're in my division. And so I get to play them twice a year for the rest of my career, hopefully. Love that.
Good answer.
That's the plan.
Okay. Any other questions, Claire?
How'd you pick to put those two Halo men up front and center? You have like 6.
Got them in this segment. All right. So I don't know if you all know this, but I have a deal with Halo, which is my favorite video game of all time. The amount of time that I spent with Halo 3 was outrageous, as I'm assuming a lot of you out there, where people that played Halo 3. But I got to do a deal with them, which is like a dream come true for me because it's my favorite video game and I feel like a little kid. But they sent me a bunch of stuff. And also my good friend and massive 49er fan, Alex Tran, who I've worked with on a couple different things. He makes a lot of cool memes and definitely does great Pro Bowl promotions for the players. He sent me one as well. So thank you, Alex. I'm excited about this. This is one that Halo sent me too. I don't really know what the Pop Funko things are, but as you can see, I have a massive Batman here as well.
As you can see.
He's my co-host here, but I think they're just fun little toy things. But you guys always decorate the set, and so I wanted to decorate the set.
It was great effort.
Now me and old Batman here are hanging out.
Love that.
Okay, I have another question. So I know that you're trying to compete with me on your length of your hair. How long are you going to grow your hair? Mine's a little longer than yours.
I think I gave it off tomorrow.
What?
I'm gonna get like a 1 to 2 buzz over my entire head, and just see what happens.
Okay, we'll see. Tune in next week.
I'm calling your bluff. You're not doing that.
We'll see.
That would not be smart for you.
Give me another one.
How's Deanie?
Oh, you guys don't actually have fan questions. You're just asking me questions.
We are the fans.
We are the fans.
Answer a question.
Okay. Yep. Sorry. Yes, honey. Deanie. Well, if you could hear, she was just barking at someone outside of our apartment building, so that was awesome. Good. Thanks for protecting me, Deanie.
She's just saying hello.
I know. We're actually whenever my food gets here, we're gonna go out and we're gonna go tinkle outside, maybe play a little bit before the DoorDash gets here. No free shout outs, but I love DoorDash. Let's see. Yeah, other than that, she's doing fantastic. She's excited for our Thanksgiving date. It's just gonna be us loving life and hanging out with each other.
And some pecan pie. Are you gonna have pecan pie? That's your favorite Thanksgiving dish? Let's cover that.
Favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like homemade pecan pie is like one of my favorite things because I usually only eat it around Thanksgiving, and so I just kind of miss it. And then when I finally get it, like we had a little mini Thanksgiving before Claire left, me, Claire, and Jan, and I think I ate half to 3/4 of the pecan pie, and I just covered it in whipped cream and ice. Actually, you covered it in whipped cream. I wasn't even using whipped cream.
I know, but you have to have whipped cream with it.
Someone talk about an overdoer. Claire's like, "Oh, your piece of pie is the size of my finger. Let's put on 3 scoops of whipped cream because you need it for flavor."
I think a lot of people would agree with me that the whipped cream, is really good on more whipped cream on the pie.
Babe, I've never
is the way to go.
Emma
and Bruce both say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, they're all scared of you, but I would never disagree with you my entire life. Love you too much, ever.
Okay, George, another question.
True.
Another football question. Okay, so in high school, you were, like, just say when you got to Norman High, you were wearing number 9 was your jersey. Then you go to Iowa and you're 46, and now you're 85. Interesting choice of numbers. Can you explain those to us?
Let's see. I think I chose number 9 because I had the option between number 9 and like number 17 or 18. And so I went with number 9. It also happened to be the number of one of my close friends, Caroline Found, who she was at Iowa City West.
And
I don't know.
Your sister wore number 9 for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Cool.
Yeah, that's okay. No, I knew you knew that. I was just reminding you.
And
She was just reminding
Mom, you
you.
fill in the blanks for me, man. You can't put me on the spot.
I know. That's no, I'm just helping you remember.
Okay.
But that's good.
But multiple reasons for number 9. 46, actually, fun story. I didn't choose that number, but when I got to Iowa, I was on my official visit, which was like in March or April somehow, because it was after signing day, because they didn't recruit me beforehand. But they took me up on an official visit anyway for fun. And we're sitting in Coach Frantz's office, and he's like, "Yep, you're going to be number 46." I was like, "Wow, cool. Any reason why?" Dallas Clark's 44. He's a legend. And I was like, "Yeah, well, any reason why?" And he goes, "Well, I had a really good reason, and I can't remember it anymore. So, yeah, you're just 46."
That means he didn't have a very good reason.
Jeff has a reason for everything. That's one of the reasons I do adore him. But he also, congratulations, Coach Frantz, on your 100th Big Ten victory. That is so fun. Yeah, 100 in the Big Ten.
Nebraska? Oh,
No,
you played Nebraska. Sorry.
So congratulations, Coach. That is some awesome stuff.
Yeah, but also the number 46, when you're going through the NFL process, they just kept calling you a fullback, and it was really pissing me off. Do you remember that?
Yes. I was Mel Kiper's number 1 fullback available.
Right.
I think I'm doing the fullback thing pretty well now in the NFL. I don't really know. How am I doing, Mel?
Yeah, let's ask.
And 85.
Anyway, 46. Yeah, I just never changed it because Claire made a custom shirts, and she said if I changed my number, she'd kill me. So
yeah, but I was also salty because University of Iowa was founded in 47, and so if you would have been 47, there were much more options for custom shirts.
Wait, 1847 or 1947?
1947.
Do you have a charger for that?
18.
Oh, no, 1847.
There we go, guys.
She knew that. She knew. Okay, and 85.
85, I also didn't have a choice. I showed up.
They just gave it to you? Okay.
I showed up, and that's what number I was in my locker, and I was like, that's really cool.
Hey, what's my favorite number?
33, which is also really fun. My mom was 33. My entire life growing up as a little kid, my 5th grade year, I was also number 33. Because of my mom, and also because of Ron Dane, because Ron Dane's a fucking savage. Still my favorite football player of all time. And then also, fun fact, my wife's number was 3, so you got 3 and 33. So lucky number 3. Deanie, I swear, do not offend our neighbors.
saying hi, Emma and Bruce. She's barking.
But yeah,
I think those are the. Oh, go ahead.
Also, to those listening that are even participating in our numbers, the pick'em for the free gloves.
Yes.
All the numbers are on the table. Put it together. Give us a puzzle. First one gets some game-worn gloves from.
Put together, we talked about a lot of those numbers just a while ago.
Talked about a lot of numbers.
A lot of them.
A lot of those numbers we just discussed.
Wow. I was wondering, as soon as I heard you talk about numbers, I was like, you guys, that was planned.
It was time to get those gloves.
It's time.
Yeah, I mean, now we got to think of a new puzzle for everyone to solve.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
It hasn't been solved.
I know. But, all right, that's all the time I have.
Okay, well, we miss you. Happy Thanksgiving. We love you.
Love you guys too. Happy
We'll
Thanksgiving.
be home soon.
Give the world. For those of you that are playing video games tonight, you'll probably be seeing me in Warzone. If you see anyone with the team name Bomb Squad, that is me and my squad.
Why do you do that? Because then you're going to get all these notifications.
I know they can't search the Bomb Squad, but my teammates that are on Bomb Squad, we're coming for you, and we're going to be aggressive. Fire shotguns out there and some 500-yard snipes. Woo!
We were talking about Thanksgiving, and you decided to talk about.
I got to go drop the world, babe. I love you so much. Batman is here. Talk to him.
Okay, be sure to subscribe to Hidden Pearls.
Yeah,
we'd appreciate it.
Subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe.
This is the 11th episode.
11th
Episode
episode.
11?
George. 11.
Episode 11, lucky number 11.
Okay.
11.
Go Niners.
And-
Thank you, George.
All right.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching episode 11. We are going to have us some cervezas out by la playa and the pool. But thank you so much, you guys. Please, if there is anybody who you know who could benefit from hearing about Irreverent Warriors or getting connected to people like Nick or like Nate, please share the word, promote it, share their message. So you can subscribe to Hidden Pearls Podcast on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. Thunderbird Performance is coming out with some new content while we're here. We're super excited. Some yoga, meditation. It's a little bit more zen when you do it by the beach, so that's usually where our filming inspiration comes from. But we're very excited to share that with you guys. So just one more time, if you can please just share, like, promote, pass our video on, pass this on, pass the Irreverent Warriors on. Everything you need is going to be in the show notes, and we really, really appreciate you and know that we can't do this all without you. So any last words, BK?
Be well, be safe, okay? And pass the word. Thank you.
Courageous action. All right, 3, 2, 1.